Good morning, traders and investors. Thank you for tuning in on this Liberation Day, Reciprocal Tariff Day, Make America Wealthy Again Day, whatever you want to call it. It is Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. Have we got a yo-yo market for you? What to expect on Reciprocal Tariff Day? We're going to talk about what we know, what we don't know. We're going to talk about maybe when, maybe where you can tune in and get this most important information, certainly to start April here. IPO madness is still going on. We're going to take a look at Newsmax. We're going to take a look at WTF. We are awaiting Tesla US deliveries, expecting those out around 9 a.m. Couple of notable earnings: BlackBerry, Encino, NCNO. We have RH after the close. And remember, on Friday, that's in 2 days, we will be getting jobs data, the monthly jobs data out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Let's get it going here, folks, on pre-market prep.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. And this is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
All right. Good morning, traders and investors. Here we are. Leak overnight. Down 41 handles. Support, I'm going to give you Monday's low. That's 100 handles from here. And resistance, another potential double top, just under 5,700. The buck just still consolidating, doesn't know what to do, down under 104. TLT up 36 cents, trying to get over 92. USO taking a breather after yesterday's rally, down 40 cents, 76.78. GLD and silver both flat. Bitcoin making it easy on me, down $350 at 85,000. And here we are after a hiatus of a few days, a few hectic days. Triple D back in the house.
Got internet. I have unlimited power. That's Star Wars reference. Joel won't get that.
We missed you. We missed you, Dennis.
I missed you guys too. I'm going nuts. I'm like watching moves happen on my cell phone. I actually did have power because I have a Generac, but I had no internet. I never considered that. You know, you get the Generac, you're like, oh, I'll always be up. But when the whole town and literally half the province is out of power, the Rogers hubs don't have power, so they don't get you internet. So there was no internet coming in, even though my modem's live and ready. There's no signal coming in. So I guess I got to buy a Generac for Rogers. Wow. That might be what I need, is a Generac for Rogers. Rogers could be this gift for you guys. But Generac worked great. Had power. We had lots of people coming over. Power went out Saturday at 3 p.m. Came on yesterday, so talking Tuesday, at around 3 p.m. So it was out for 72 hours. Long time. That's the longest I've ever went without power. But the ice storm was incredible. Lots of trees. You know, it's beautiful if you're like just looking, you know, the beautiful crystallized trees. But then all the limbs are falling on your head. Then it's not so beautiful. But no damage to the house. I had 3 trees down. Probably, you know, throughout this whole area, I would imagine millions of trees down because it was 400,000 people without power. And if you start adding that up, if everybody had 3 trees on their property, you know, that's a minimum of 1 million trees down. There's forests. The hydro crews just working like crazy. It was basically like a hurricane went through and just knocked everything down, all the trees and everything. But everybody seems to be okay. Starlink, they are telling me. I went and looked at Starlink and priced. That is expensive. It's $300 for the equipment and $140 a month. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, that is expensive for this like power outage that I get once every 3 to 4 years. I don't know if it's worth it or not, but if it happens again, then maybe I'll have to look into Starlink. I did try to use my phone as a hotspot to try to like use my computers because I had cellular service, but it was so weak. And I was like, why is it so weak? And then I found out there was an actual Rogers tower that actually went down from the weight of the ice. So a whole cell tower fell over. So it was crazy. We do, unfortunately, have another ice storm coming tonight, but they said it's going to be a lot less, not as much damaging as the previous ice storm. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that I'll be on with you guys tomorrow. But hey, let's stop talking about.
Before Dennis, one question that was circling the internet was how many ice cream sandwiches you ate during this.
Oh yeah, no, I went to the store to buy, and I bought them all. Yeah, I was just killing ice cream sandwiches. My stomach hurts eating so many ice cream sandwiches. It's called comfort food. When you're depressed and you're off the grid and the storms and the branches are falling around you, you want to be comforted. So the comfort food of ice cream sandwiches. Yes, I consumed a lot of ice cream sandwiches.
All right. Well, what's going on today after the close? Anything? RH earnings. Let's do
I don't know. I've been off the
earnings.
grid. I heard something about liberation. RH earnings. That is true. RH earnings. But Liberation Day is here. Liberating. I feel liberated. How about you? Trump, does he feel liberated is the question. How bad are these tariffs are going to be, or it depends on your perspective, how good they're going to be. They were talking 20% across the board, matter what, no exemptions. But the Wall Street Journal broke an article last night and said, well, it might be less than 20%. And the S&P started popping on that. If you show your charts here, Joe, which we're not doing yet, but we're going to do right now, I'm adding them to the stage. You'll see last night's pop. We got up about 25 handles. That was on the WSJ article that, hey, this may not be 20% support, and there may be only selective countries that get hit here. Now, we don't know. So now it's all uncertainty. Somebody was saying that the plan isn't fully formed yet, which seems crazy. But markets are selling first and ask questions later. They're very nervous going into this day for good reason. We don't really know exactly what it's going to do. We don't.
Does anybody know? Does anybody know?
No, but this is what was read. It was also coming out this morning too, is that the Trump administration may not even really know because they have not fully formulated the plan, is what was being said in, I believe, the Wall Street Journal this morning. So that the plan is still being adjusted. So they're winging it a little bit. This is going to be really interesting, folks. Obviously, repercussions, not only for the U.S., but for the entire world here. We all await the Liberation Day.
But what is the probability that whatever's said today is not reversed tomorrow or next week or next month?
Very high. Very high, Joel. We know Trump, the way he works is if you're nice to him, he gives you a break. If you fight back, he fights back harder. So that's what I've been saying. If I'm Canada, I'm not bowing elbows up. I'm saying, how can we work with you? Let's talk. Let's sit at the table and discuss, being nice. We want to work with you. We understand you want to get jobs back to the U.S. Let's help you do that. That's what I would be doing if I was prime minister, is working with the president as opposed to elbows up, let's fight. I don't want to fight. I want to work it out. I want everybody to be friends again. That's what we need.
All right, Brett, you got some information on this. I saw you pop it up there. Do you want to share that at all? I mean, he says 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I was just sharing the article that Dennis was referencing that caused the pop. Just super quick to reiterate what we heard last night. Trump's team in recent days has considered imposing a 20% universal tariff on virtually all imports versus a reciprocal plan that would apply different tariffs to different countries. But the U.S. Trade Rep's office is preparing a third option, an across-the-board tariff on a subset of nations that likely would not be as high as the 20% universal tariff, according to people with knowledge of the plans. That was the new info. That last part that I just read, that was the new info that seemed like it moved the market last night. So we had we were doing a bit of a live stream like a few days ago when the auto tariff bill was signed. What are we going to be expecting as far as timing? The thing that I haven't been able to find definitively is like timing of this. Are traders and investors going to be having to sit around from now until 8 p.m. before this is announced? We get details on it. This thing is signed.
Yeah.
What are you expecting, Dennis?
I think it's going to be not at 4 p.m. I know they're going to talk, but just like the auto tariffs, to your point, Brentster, that was supposed to come out at 4, it didn't come out till 5:30. So I highly doubt it's going to be an on-time release. So I think they're still
Mhm.
putting the final touches on it, which has been mentioned in the Wall Street Journal that the final touches aren't there yet. So I think they're going to take all the time they can get. I do think there's going to be tariffs coming tonight. I do think they're going to be widespread. The details, the devil is in the details. That applies to stocks. That applies to earnings reports. That applies to marriage. That applies to Liberation Day. Devil in the details. So
I've been
that's what we
using I've
await
been
is those
using
details.
I've been using this website rollcall.com, and it has a calendar for Trump's schedule each day. It doesn't go, as far as I know, it doesn't go to like the next day, so you do have to wait until it's the current day. And that schedule today is showing an item at 4 p.m. It says the president participates in the Make America Wealthy Again event. That would be the first time that I personally have heard of today's reference be labeled as Make America Wealthy Again. It says it's in the Rose Garden with pre-credentialed media. I'm assuming that's going to be our reciprocal tariff event. So let's just assume it's going to be after 4 p.m. until further notice. But unfortunately, we do kind of have to be like, a little weary all day as far as this timing, I think.
And I mean, we had the bounce back day last couple of days, and now this is one thing I said in the STN room last night. Like, it was pretty predictable that we'd probably be down here today because people would be nervous about it. And then they came out with the Wall Street Journal article. I was like, well, I don't know if that's still on the table because they're saying it might not be 20% across the board. But now with the uncertainty and nobody really knowing anything, it seems like, at least from a media perspective, that we have indeed sold off. So people nervous. I get it. Like, it's been a tough year for stocks, and they're like, I don't want to go in. I did propose in the STN room last night, is there a scenario where we actually rally on this news? I think absolutely there's a scenario. I think there's multiple scenarios here. The scenario that we rally, and if we're just laying it out here, is if those tariffs are, one, not 20% across the board, two, maybe some exemptions, not broad and sweeping in every single country. So, I mean, if they're looking like, hey, that wasn't that bad, the market will absolutely rally on it. If it comes out and it's 20% across the board and everything and no exemptions possible, and it's like, oh, it kind of is that bad, then we maybe sell off. So that's what you'll be looking for is, one, is there some countries getting breaks? Two, is there any exemptions? Three, obviously the implementation is supposed to be, imminent right away, but, when are they all going to actually get in and start working? Is it going to be today, tomorrow? When is it happening? So, I mean, timing and how broad and how big is really. So lots of questions. We don't have the answers to any of those questions right now.
All right, so why don't we? I mean, there were a couple stocks moving yesterday. I don't know if anybody caught those, but we had a new IPO here, and had a little bit of movement yesterday. What's it? Watan Financial Limited.
Yeah.
Nasdaq approved this symbol. Um, that's pretty.
That symbol is awesome.
I mean, they,
WTF, NASDAQ.
yeah.
I mean, I wish I would have known about this. I was off the grid, but I wish I would have known about this yesterday because you knew the memesters were going to buy a stock symbol with WTF no matter what the company was, no matter what the company does, no matter what the company's financials do. The thing came out yesterday at $4 and ran to 19. It actually ran to 27 in the after hours session before selling way off to 13 and then bouncing all the way back to 19. Now we're 18. But the ticker symbol is indeed WTF. Watson Financial. I would say that's probably intentional that they did it that way. And the memesters were just going crazy. They loved it. They couldn't stop buying it all day yesterday. Do they stop today? Well, they already stopped last night. So, I mean, it's cool and everything. How long that coolness of the ticker symbol, lasts is to be determined. I'm not sure, a stock that IPOs at 4 and runs to 27, is sustainable in the long run. But in the short run, it's a fun ticker symbol and a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah, it opened at 429. So if you bought the open, you only took 24 cents worth of heat as it went as high as 1985. And then in the pre-market, you got 28. I'll just give you one number, and the number
Please.
is 1985, and that's it. That was the close from yesterday. I'm sure it's going to go up and down and all around, but that's the mark for people that bought it last night. And I'll just use Dennis's comment. If you're good at trading stocks like this and the risk reward ratios and you don't mind being caught in halts, go at it. And if you don't, if you like a higher price stock and you want some volatility, then you can trade Newsmax.
Yeah.
That had a pretty good day yesterday and is giving some back. So tough stocks, man. I mean, if you and then third one, Dennis, I'll let you comment on these. It brought people to CoreWeave. That had a good day. If you were patient with that IPO at 40, finally got a nice blast. Dialed up Eric Kroll. He'll be on the Stock Trader Network today with Brent at 1:45 talking about these stocks. So if you haven't signed up for your free trial and you want to hear what Eric has to say, I suggest you do that. But wow, what a day in
I
those three
think
stocks.
has the hungry market been hungry for IPOs? We've had a lack of them. That's obviously something we're going to ask Eric this afternoon as well. But has the market been hungry for these IPOs? Like, it looks like they've been missing them because they all just kind of blasted off. I mean, that Newsmax move, people saying it's worth more than CNN, worth more than any of them. This was an incredible move, folks. This stock came out and IPO'd. What was the underwriting price? Do we know? Chat know? But it came out yesterday. Is that 14? That's not $14.
It came out
Is
at
that
14, Dennis. That was the opening
what?
print.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yep. Yes.
It
Yep.
goes
Here.
270 after hours last night.
Yeah.
Man, you memesters, you get that syrup in them, you get all antsy in your pantsy. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to enjoy the party, running, but just don't get caught holding the bag on these things. I've always said when these things start going up 1,000% at a time, they're like hot potatoes. You can get in there, they're a lot of fun to trade, but eventually there's a rug pull and it's going to be vicious. So has the rug pull officially happened? I think so. I don't think it's blasting off to 300, 400, 500 today, but maybe it's Liberation Day, so who the hell knows?
Yeah.
These are tough
Opened at
things to trade.
14. Opened at 14. Low was 14. Closed that day at 83.51.
Well, that was maybe the underwritten price. Maybe it never touched 14. Did it actually trade 14?
Yeah, it did, Dennis.
It did.
Yeah, it did. You talk. What if you sold that opening print? I mean, for every buyer, there's a seller, right?
Yes.
What if you
I think
sold
so.
that?
I think that's how it works.
Wow.
Wow. So, I mean, the movement here was incredible. I traded that CoreWeave last night. I couldn't help myself. Newsmax started rolling over. WTF started rolling over. I'm like, you know what? CoreWeave was trading up $2. I'm like, I think it rolls over there too. Actually, it was up $3 last night. And again, to Brentster's point, this one's not as low of a float, so it's not going to move as much. These low float ones can really move. I took a short out of it. I was like in the STN room. I was like, I don't know. Well, me and Eddie were in the STN room shorting this thing. I got a buck off it. It's obviously covered way too soon, but it worked out well because the other ones started going down. I was like, you know what, sympathy, and the CoreWeave actually did end up going red as well. I shorted like 55, 35. I think I covered like 54, 35. Maybe I'm getting handleitis there, but it was somewhere in there. Now it's like obviously 51. I was like, oh, why did I cover? I always cover.
How's the borrows? How's the borrows?
You can borrow it. It was the rate was like something like 166% or something at IB. So that's annualized. So you're talking about like 0.5% a day. So like 25 cents a day or something. Not cheap, but yeah.
And these things will be wild until I don't know how soon do the options is it a strictly set that they trade X amount afterwards that they start trading options. It's a week, so the option guys are probably glad they don't have to make markets in this, but a lot of times when things calm down when the options start to trade, so
They
keep
do.
an eye on that.
Yeah, because obviously the optionality keeps, you get the lid on it there because people start making money, they start selling, the market makers selling, stock against the options that are open, and that adds liquidity to the market. The options definitely help to add liquidity to these things and slow these insane moves down. But, if you like trading that stuff, it's great. It's fun. I trade it with small size, though, because it is definitely a little bit of gambling. But some people trade these things really well. So, if you trade these things really well, by all means, continue to do it. It's not really my cup of tea. I'm more of a base hit trader, trade, the boring, more predictable stocks there. But it's kind of fun to trade, too. So, let's move on to a little bit more boring and predictable stocks here. Or maybe not, because maybe we should go to Tesla first, which is definitely not a boring stock. Is it predictable? A little bit more than some of these other things. Tesla trading down ahead of the 9 o'clock numbers here today. Brentster was saying 2 quarters ago, they reported around 9:03 a.m. Quarter ago, they were 9:07 a.m. So he's guessing it's going to be at 9:05 a.m. that we are going to get North American sales data here. Obviously, we've been getting European sales data. We're going to get the sales numbers here coming for Tesla. It is going to be a big day for Tesla. I will tell you, the expectations are that they're going to miss. I will tell you a lot of bad news is priced in here. So if it is not like a landslide miss, I would not be in the least bit surprised if you actually see a slight miss, a dip on the initial algos, because they're just dumb and they see miss, they sell. But then, a pop. So I kind of am inclined to buy the dip. If it's like, I got to wait for the numbers, because if it's just like a ridiculous landslide miss, maybe I'm hands off. If it's just a slight miss, I think there's a scenario where Tesla could rally on a slight miss.
A check back, a low, a pop, a retreat, halfway back. You got the gap fill the other day. Showing good relative strength off that comparison to that low, the March low, the low of the move. So we'll see how it settles in. But right now it looks at we were trading at 261, so that's well above the 50% retracement of the recent move. So I I can't analyze the numbers, whether they're in, they're out, or overstated or understated. I'll just look at this unbiasedly technically for you, and it has some indications here that for a rally, as it retraced that move and now pulling back. ADP came out. That's not helping anything. We're just leaking. I mean, seriously, like, where are there going to be buyers today? I mean, really, unless you're covering shorts. I mean, do you really want to go out, take new positions based on the fact that the tariffs may not be as bad as you think, or there's a delay? I mean, to me, that you talk about a random walk. I think it's beyond a random walk here for the market today. I mean,
I think you're making a fantastic point. Today's predictable sell-off is probably the most predictable thing, as opposed to tomorrow, which is up in the air. So it's kind of like the run down into the event, because everybody's so nervous that this event is not going to be liberating for their portfolios. I do think you could get a relief pop if it's not that bad tonight. But it's hard to imagine people saying, yep, I'm going in. Unless he tweets something or says something, and that could change the whole narrative, saying, hey, we're talking about not 20% across the board, or we're talking about having some exemptions, or we're talking about not being as broad and sweeping, as it was. Then that changes things. But with the information we're currently given, other things being equal is what we always say. Think about to math and think about your experiments and everything. Other things being equal, meaning all the information we have today is going to be what's going to we're going to have until 4 o'clock tonight. I think it's hard to envision like them rip roaring and rallying into this. So I do think, though, there is a case to be made that there could be a rip roaring rally tonight, depending on what he says.
There's gonna be. Brent says he'd be long giving up our pessimism. I mean, I just say I was a contrarian, late in the day yesterday, and that didn't do me any good. Maybe I should have been a contrarian overnight. I would say yesterday's low could be coming in play if you're looking at potential bounce. There's gonna be some stories out too. But look, there were earnings. BlackBerry, is that what it's called now? What's it called?
Yeah, I know
now?
they changed the name a million times.
Uh,
BB, double B.
Not good. Not good here. I mean, we can go to the earnings.
3 cents
Down.
versus 1 cent, 141 versus 132. This is a beat and a beat. The guidance isn't good. They see Q1 total revenue 107 million, to 115 million versus 127 million estimates. It's a huge light. And the fiscal year 26, like the full year, like 504, 534. This is next year actually, versus 546. So revenue light, earnings light. There's just no story here. The story just died when the iPhone was created. That's what happened.
Did you ever see the
Never
movie?
recovered.
Did you ever see the movie
I
about?
did. Blackberry,
I
the
did.
movie. That was a great movie. That
I
was
liked it
underrated.
too.
It
I
was
liked it
really good.
too. Yeah, yeah. I'll just say
You just didn't
technically.
realize.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you just didn't realize how much, the BlackBerry founder there, was just, basically, a jerk. And we're talking about Jim Basile. Just going in there, just looking at, when Takeo came in there, firing people and getting everything organized, and kind of almost, and jerk is maybe a tougher word, but tough, very, very tough. And we know Steve Jobs was very, very tough too. So, I mean, sometimes, tough love is the way to get stuff done. BlackBerry was rocking and rolling for a long time, but then Apple came and ate their lunch, and that was it. But BB, I mean, at this point in time, the story just seems like it's over.
$3 if you're waiting to buy this at $3 in late December. You may get your opportunity today. If the longer it takes to get to $3, you might get a little bit of a rally. Should we just do the disaster of the day, get it out of the way?
Sure.
NCNO trading down here quite a bit. They came out. They missed by 7 cents. Slight beat on revenues. Street did not like the guidance. This thing is just a disaster. I mean, it is below these lows of next time I say, oh, there looks like to support a double monthly low. Well, when it goes through there, short it, because that was 21.26, not investment advice. 21.26 and 21.32. You are coming up. This is a new old time low, 1950. So the old time low is now minor resistance in Encino. We're continuing to crater here, Dennis. Watch your bids here. It
Yeah.
looks like this is not a market prediction, but we could be at yesterday's low. I don't know. By the time we're done with our 8:35 guest.
Yeah, not ideal scenario here with the market continuing to sell off, and it is weakness across the board. I'm just jumping in here and looking, if you want to. We have staples predictably up. We have some defense stocks, Lockheed Martin. I'm looking is trading green slightly. I think there might have been some news there, but it is like drugs reluctantly trying a couple of them, utilities reluctantly trying a couple of them, slightly green, but it's red across the board. To banks, to tech leading the charge down, to industrials. You can go wherever you want to go. We're red. Even oil's down here today. It is a nervous market ahead of, I guess this is Liberation Day. So it is a nervous market on Liberation Day.
Also, geopolitical news overnight. China, I guess, not investing in the U.S. anymore, or told not to invest in the USO. And then the old, I always thought a Chinese fire drill was when you went to. Did you ever do those when you were in high school? A Chinese fire drill?
I don't
Do you
know
know
if
what
that's
they
a
are?
racist thing to say.
No, it's
What do you
not.
mean Chinese? Okay, well, tell me then.
It's when you go to a stoplight and everyone gets out and runs around the car.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we should not say that, but I don't know. I never did. I never got out of stoplights and ran around cars, Joel. I didn't do as many dangerous things as you did. You were a bad kid. You were a bad kid. I was a good kid. I was like the kid sat, and just got A's. Well, not true, but I got an F in art. But
Oh
I got
really?
A's in math
Oh
always.
really? Where
Yeah,
did you
I got an F in
tell a
art.
story about jumping on a moving train? Was that on this show or was that in the STN room?
Okay, I'm burying myself here a little bit. It was on the STN room. You're not supposed to tell that one publicly.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay. Sorry about it.
so I'm not going to tell that story. We'll tell it one day on pre-market prep. But basically, I know from stocks not to jump on moving trains because I indeed jumped on a moving train at one point in time. So I know not to do that. And it wasn't the STN room.
Okay.
So, okay, enough
Earnings.
with, high school stories. We're going back to the markets. We are 4 minutes away. Obviously, we've got our guest here in the background. We're going to bring him on in a couple minutes here. It is a light news day ahead of like the biggest news day of the year. So nervousness ahead. We continue to drift down lower. We're going to snap. We're going to bounce around. Don't just expect a straight sell-off. It's going to be choppy. There's going to be rumors, lots of rumors breaking. Obviously, media is digging and digging and digging as much as they possibly can right now to get details on these tariffs. So I would expect that we're going to be choppy today. I also would expect us to be nervous and, maybe not rallying straight into this. So that's where I'm approaching it, is just expect the chop.
Okay. All right. Should we do our earnings preview for RH?
Well, we have one stock reporting. Actually, if our guest is ready, let's bring our guest on right now. The guest is ready in the background.
Okay.
So we're going to bring in our guest here right now. Let's go. Guest intro.
Good morning. Good morning. Under you and Zhong, he is covers the very difficult sectors over there, the biotech over at Wedbush Securities. Thanks for joining us this morning. How you doing?
Hi, thank you very much. Good morning, and it's a great pleasure to be here.
Could
We
you
can
turn
kind of hear you. Your mic
your
is
volume up
just
a little
away
bit?
from you too far, maybe. So I can barely hear you.
Is it better now?
No. Do you have a mic you can put right up to your? It's not picking it up for some reason, so we can hardly hear you. We know you can. We can hear you just slightly. Webcams, maybe not. You're probably using a webcam through the mic. It's not picking it up. You may have it on the wrong setting, but we can hear it a little bit, so that's why it's probably not the setting.
Sorry, I should have tested this before I joined.
No, it's okay. It's just light. I don't know if we can turn. Can we, Brentster? Can we? No, it's not going to be anything on our end. If we can crank up his volume.
Yeah, this is the first time that I use this. I used to use
No problem.
Issue setup. Should I try again, please?
Yeah, we can barely hear you. Brent, I don't know if you can work. It's hard to communicate. Maybe Brent, we're going to just put you in the background for a second. We're going to bring you back on in 2 minutes. We'll see if we can work this out. So in the meantime, I don't think if it was the wrong mic on, because we could actually hear it. Usually you can't hear it, but maybe it was picking it up through his headset. So anyways, we're going to just check. We'll try to get that figured out there for you. Meanwhile, back to, obviously, the sell-off here this morning. Joel,
Yes.
You're a futures trader. And I think we're in this market where obviously the macros are going to drive the bus, meaning it's going to be the futures that are driving stocks here today. So one, I want some levels because I need levels for today. I know there's a couple levels in there somewhere. Obviously, we got the low from 2 days ago, 546 on SPY. That's 90 handles lower, so I don't think that's coming into play. At least I would hope it's not going to come into play. But give us some numbers here.
I got to be honest with you, Dennis. This market is so volatile. I'll give you the levels, and I have to be absolutely honest with you. They're so wide and they're so thin that that's the way the market is. That's the way it is with the volatility right now. I mean, I'll give you your low from yesterday. I'll give you the low from yesterday at 5,600 and a quarter. That's 17 handles away from here, right?
Okay.
And if you want to look at it, and it's a daily low, so that automatically makes it a 2-star, right? Just because it hit it once, but it's a level. After that, you have the low from yesterday. I mean, I cannot give you a level when there's not a level. And the low, and I'll give you the low in the spiders yesterday. The low in the spiders was 553.68. The low on the previous day is 546.87. Going to the S&P here, The low on Monday was 55.33.75. So what I'm hoping for is that, yeah, it sure looks like we're going to breach Monday, yesterday's low. What I'm hoping is that buyers step up, somewhere between the low of the move and Tuesday's low. On the upside, I mean, it's easier in the S&P because it made an exact double top within a point, 56.94.75, and we hit 95.75 last night. So you had the little rally here, the double top. We completely fell apart. Little rally here, double top, and everything is indicating that we're going lower once again. It's a bear market, and I don't know what could be said today, how the narrative can change, and it can. We all know it can change very
Yes.
quickly in this market. But I also talk about levels and levels being created, and then things calming down. We're not calming down. We're not calming down, and we're not going to calm down today. So,
Well, we may calm down tonight, but not to. I would agree with you. It may not be today, like during the intraday. We're going to see. It depends on what the narrative is. It depends on what the media talks. So just stay tuned to the macro headlines. Stay tuned, obviously, because we're going to get more information on these tariffs as the day
we're
progresses.
going to try.
Our guest is ready.
Yep, we're going to try them one more time. Dr. Zhong?
Hi, is it better now?
Perfect. Awesome.
Good, because I disconnected the webcam and using the camera associated with the laptop now. So yeah, so sorry for the inconvenience.
No, thank you.
Perfect. We hear you great.
Thank you very much. You pointed out something in your notes here that took place over the weekend, and I don't think that we really covered it. I mean, we know that we had some big moves in the IBB. Talk about what took place over the weekend and the impact it had on those two ETFs.
Yeah, I think what happened over the weekend was that Peter Marks, the head of the CBER, resigned from the FDA, and that caused a lot of impact on the stock that we cover, specifically biotech, and also in terms of sector. I think one sector in particular was gene therapy, and received a huge impact, a lot of sell-off, and personal view, I really think this is an overreaction, and understandably that a lot of uncertainty and people are worried about the future of the FDA, specifically towards the regulatory approach for gene therapy for rare disease. But I think from my understanding, I believe that the disagreement was mainly on vaccine, and I'm not going to comment too much about the vaccine, but specifically on gene therapy for orphan indication, I still believe that the FDA's flexibility will likely continue as before. And although there might be some operational uncertainty going forward, but in the long term, I still would be optimistic.
Wow. All right. Dissecting the news and being and trying to use the news to sell off to your advantage. So you got a couple top picks here for 2025. So I'm gonna add my charts to the stage. I'm gonna bring up ASND. This is Ascendis Pharma. Not a bad looking chart. Talk about the fundamentals behind this company.
Yeah. Ascendis Pharma actually had a pretty good performance over the past few months, and I think we really like the stock because the company has a platform, and it's using conjugation to allow prodrug, that's the native drug, to have a better PK profile, meaning that you can extend the dosing frequency, lower the dosing frequency, or to help the drug stay in the body for longer to achieve better efficacy. Right now, they have two FDA-approved drugs in the market, and the first one is growth hormone for pediatric growth hormone deficiency, and they are going to have an FDA decision on the adult patient population in July. And the second product was hormone replacement therapy and this is a rare indication called hypoparathyroidism, and patients are suffering from loss of hormone causing a lot of comorbidity, and they just received FDA approval in December and launched the drug in the U.S. Towards the end of the year, and reported really strong uptake in terms of the patient getting prescription. And on Monday, they announced that submission has been submitted. The marketing submission has been completed for the third drug candidate, and it's for dwarfism, and it's also a very huge market. So pretty soon they're going to most likely have 3 drugs approved by the FDA in the market. So
Wow.
each addressing each huge market. So yeah, I think in terms of the potential, we really think that there is a strong potential ahead for this company and also for the stock.
I mean,
You know,
hold it up. Go ahead, Dennis.
I was going to say, before we get to your second pick, I just want to get, and I just want to talk, because you're going to give us lots of picks, obviously, from the biotech sector here. I just want to talk the landscape overall here first with biotechs, because this has been a significant sell-off. I mean, the IBB has been going down hard, but the XBI has been going down even harder the last few days. I mean, we're talking about a 10% sell-off in 3 days here for the XBI. Is this just concerns on where this administration is going? Why do you think so much weakness in biotechs here in the last couple of days?
Yeah, I think the main reason is the uncertainty, and with regard to the administration, maybe started a couple of months ago, all the turnover, and I think specifically for biotech, the approval is very much dependent on FDA's decision, apparently, and also oftentimes into the play is the procedure and the process. And we know that even before all the changes happened, that FDA had already been shorthanded, and a lot of review process took longer than what really should be. So I think the uncertainty really didn't help and hurt a lot, and that was the main reason, in my understanding, was causing a lot of the dramatic movement in the sector.
Okay.
Let's get to your second pick here, which your 2 top picks, ASND, and the second one, PTGX. So Joel's going to bring up the chart here, but we're talking about Protagonist Therapeutics, PTGX. Talk to us about this one.
Yeah, so this one is targeting a different area, I&I, namely the immunological and inflammatory disease. It's a very disease area for biotech companies, and but the PTGX Protagonist does share a similarity with Ascendis Pharma, is that the company also has a technology platform that is they're trying to make proteins orally available. Protein drugs typically have to inject because, if you take the drug by mouth, and will be digested by the GI tract. But what's unique about PTGX is that they are able to make proteins orally available to reduce the injection burden, so that patient can take medications more easily, and which is apparently a big advantage for patient. And they actually had a very busy 2-week in the beginning of March, reported positive data from 3 studies, and 2 phase 3 program, 1 phase 2 program, and all programs are targeting really huge market. And now that they have reported all the clinical data that people were expecting for 2025, then the question is really how the company or how the stock would do for the rest of the year. And I really think that the potential is in the platform. They're going to nominate a candidate for obesity program in second quarter very soon, and also another candidate for a hematologic program towards the end of this year. And also they are going to initiate a new program targeting a different target, but also in the I&I immunological space. And so a lot of excitement going forward for the stock as well.
Okay, here's a stock that's been around for a long time. It's had its ups and downs over the years, but talk to us about BioMarin Pharmaceutical.
Yeah, BioMarin is, like you pointed out, it's been around for a long time, and I think the company's focus is also on rare disease. So we do cover a lot of companies in rare disease space, and I think the question for BioMarin is where the growth is coming from. Historically, the company is very well known for innovation, and they have probably developed a whole bunch of drugs all the way through FDA approval. Right now, they are marketing close to 10 FDA approved drugs, and most of them are targeting rare indication generating billions of revenue. But I think people care more about growth in biotech. So I think right now the question is where the growth is coming from, and the focus for investors is because the company has publicly stated that the company is open to BD opportunities and activities up to 1.5 billion. So I think the key question is what the company is going to get to try to drive the continued growth in the company.
Okay, another stock that's been around for a long time. Mankind, MNKD, trading just got long consolidation here since 2017. Talk about any future prospects for Mankind.
Yeah, Mankind is a very interesting name, and because they are trying to develop this inhaled medication, and they had a inhaled insulin for diabetes type 1, type 2, which we believe is probably underappreciated because the product has been around for many years, but the uptake has been a little disappointing. But the company is trying to really promote the drug, and was newly available clinical data that the company generated in 2024, which we believe is very compelling. And so I think, hopefully the company will be able to get more patients to be used to this drug, to have a better understanding. And I think the growth really is from one inhaled medications for lung indication. They have a collaboration with United Therapeutics, and was a approved drug for an indication called PAH, the pulmonary artery hypertension. And United Therapeutics is also running a study targeting an additional indication called IPF, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. So data is expected in 2025, maybe in 2026. So I think the growth potential is really from the lung indication, but the insulin franchise should provide a solid support.
Okay, I see you got a few other picks here. We're not going to have time to go through all of them. Is there one in particular that that you would like to cover? Or have any maybe perhaps something you did the most recent note on?
Yeah, a name that I wanted to highlight is Moonlake, ticker MLTX, Moonlake Biotherapeutics,
Okay.
Immunotherapeutics. Sorry. So they are going to have phase 3 data readout in mid 2025. It's a very closely watched data readout because it's targeting again, it's an immunological indication, dermatologic indication, huge market, close to 2 million people affected, with a peak revenue potential of close to 10 billion. So the drug is going to work. That's for sure, because based on the previous phase 2 data, we know that beating placebo is not a problem. But really, the question is how the drug will compare to existing treatment options. So we believe that there is a good chance for the drug to show superior efficacy. Even if they don't show really statistical superior efficacy, the market is big enough to accommodate multiple players. So the big catalyst will be in mid 2025. Will potentially drive a lot of stock movement. And plus, the name has been an M&A candidate for a long time. So the data can open up the possibility for M&A activity.
All right, that sounds like a good one. Moon Lake Immunotherapeutics. That's MLTX. That was the one I had queued up next, but I wanted to make sure we got the right in there. Dr. Yuan Zhong over there at Wedbush Securities, covering the always difficult biotech sector. Thanks, Doctor. We'll have you on again soon.
Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Little bit of a rally going on here, Dennis. Do we want to talk an insider?
Just to talk. Well, let's talk. It's tariffs. It's all the thing that matters today. Doug Ford is on CNBC right now, just saying we'd be willing to take our tariffs off if President does as well, President Trump. And we know that. So I mean, the one thing I do like is Doug Ford's new approach, because somebody has talked to him. And he came out, remember, guns blaze, we're going to cut off the energy, we're going to make American people, like he was really like elbows up. Somebody has spoken with Doug Ford. Somebody that's saying the same thing as me. We got to talk when you're talking with the Trump administration and with Donald Trump himself. You've got to be a little bit more calm. You've got to be, more, understanding. You can't go in guns blazing. So, I like, stuff that, is obviously we're not listening to it right now, but, he looks calm on CNBC right now, says he'd be willing to take off tariffs. President Trump does too. These are the things that need to be said, like, hey, we want to work with you. We want a deal. That's what we need to happen. So obviously, Doug Ford is not the Prime Minister of Canada, but
Right.
Ontario
I was
is
just going to
obviously.
bring that up. I was just
So
going
I
to bring
mean,
that
how
up.
much negotiation power does Doug Ford have? To some. Obviously, Ontario's got deals too. But I mean, it's really, I really am hoping that it's not going to be all about this like elbows up. I'm flickering. Am I still on? My power just flickered here again. Yeah. Okay.
We still got you.
Yeah, you can hear me. You still got me.
Yeah.
Good. Because it just flickered here. I was like, gonna lose internet here
Oh,
again.
that would
So
not
my
be good.
generator will kick in, and I have battery backup. I've got everything. I got a battery backup on, both my computers, so they won't go off, even if the power goes off. But anyway, so we just flickered there. But again, just going back to what I was talking about, it's all about, tariff. It's tariff day, liberation day. There's going to be more news moving the markets around, as it breaks. So I think it's hard to say we're just going to be straight down all day. I think there's going to be headlines breaking throughout the day as media gets more informed and gets a better look at what this reciprocal tariffs may actually look like here today. I think you're going to get volatility from that. So I just expect more chops. So just keep that in mind. But this is going to drive the story. Is there any individual stocks you guys want to cover? Ticker time. We can cover a few before. I mean, it's difficult to do technical analysis on anything a day before everything's going to go crazy, So, but we can do techs on everything here. What's setting up well. Tesla deliveries are going to be here in 13 minutes. I think we should do some technicals on Tesla, Joel, again, because that's going to be the big story of the morning here. What the numbers look like. Maybe you can give us some quick technicals there.
Yeah, I just got a little reiterate what I said. I mean, you had a nice rally off the low of the move. We thought people were looking for 300, but I think market dynamics kind of got a little involved in bringing that back. You gave back half of the move, and you're still holding that area, 255. If you are looking to buy the dip, let me look, and I'm just going to give you daily levels here because that's the most relevant information we have. Haven't taken out yesterday's low at 59 and a quarter. And then that other low, I don't think it's going to come into play. That's 243.46. So yesterday's low has not been breached yet, even with the sell off and the anticipation. I think if just real quickly on the technicals, being down 638, if you do get a scoop and it goes back to unchanged at 68.46, that's just a level. Just keep it playing it pretty close to the belt. Yesterday's high, unless the buy the dippers are really frisky here. Yesterday high looks to be safe at 77.45. Dennis, and I just I look at the CWC chart
I don't want to
here.
leave Tesla yet, so I haven't given
Okay,
commentary
okay,
here. So I know
go.
you're ready to go. So we got to talk expectations. So analysts are expecting Tesla to report deliveries of about 372,000 vehicles for the January to March period. This is down from 386,000 a year ago. So that's your number. 372 comes in. Obviously, expectations were higher than that before. They keep coming down. The numbers have been coming down, coming down, coming down. At a certain point in time, they'll be low enough where they can actually beat them. But keep that in mind. 372. We think like 365, 366. I think you get the initial dip, but then the pop. We see like 330, 340. That is a number that people won't be expecting. But they get these numbers usually pretty close. They've been obviously adjusting it a downward, where we at one time were over 400,000, so they've been bringing it down because they know, that it's just not been the best environment here for Tesla. Whether that changes going forward, it's still to be determined. I would say if we do get a dip, again, Joel's numbers are good, but 243 low from a couple days ago. I do think, my own personal opinion is I think the Tesla dip gets bought. So I think unless it's just a landslide miss, I think the dip gets bought. I'm going to actually be looking to potentially trade this in the STN room as well, on this number when we get this, and it should be around 905.
eyeball test here around my area in Michigan. I've been seeing, and I know that the numbers here are not going to be reflected. Been seeing more of them. Been seeing a lot more of them, and they also opened up a Tesla dealership not too far from me. So there's a look at it.
The eyeball test, though, Joel, there's been more Teslas on the road for a while. Like, we know that. It's a question of the last 3 months. What has happened in January, February, March, since obviously this, international sales have dropped substantially. We know there's been this movement against Elon Musk. What has happened? It's a very important quarter to get that information. We know the sales have come down, but the eyeball test is Tesla was rocking and rolling on all cylinders, and they don't even have cylinders, but rocking and rolling, 6 months ago, 5 months ago, 4 months ago. There were lots of things, lots in the pipe, lots happening. It's just been a struggle for them. What's a lot of other companies have struggled. The question is, can they get their mojo back? I think if Elon Musk, calms down, starts focusing, and gets out of obviously Doge, gets done with Doge, and gets back to running the companies again, I think there is that case. I still have a small position in my long-term portfolio left in Tesla. I'm not against reloading Tesla, but I need more information, and that's what and today we're going to get a lot of information.
Little credit where credit is due. We had Gordon Johnson on pre-market prep February 25th. Gordon, of course, the perma bear in Tesla. He was making the case for Tesla Q1 units in the range of 360,000 to 370,000. At that time, the analyst consensus estimate for Tesla units for Q1 was 422,000. So Dennis, you just read the estimates out there we got that data from Reuters. The estimates have come down a good 50, 60,000 units here in just the last month and a half, even just a month. So I mean, yeah, Gordon's the perma bear in Tesla, but he seems like he had a good call at least a couple, at the end of February or so.
Yeah. Obviously, we know the price target for Gordon, so we'll give him some props, but the price target's been really, tough price target when he's got $24 price target on it. But his numbers look like they're going to be more in line when, obviously, we talked a month ago and people were talking over 400,000 deliveries. So it's going to be huge. 7 minutes away here from getting those numbers, so it's going to be a big number. Other stocks, I know they want to talk AMD. We can look at AMD quickly. I still have a little position in my long-term portfolio. Is there, Joel? AMD looks like it's got great support around $100 here. I mean, we just came off substantially here. We're back near support here. Is there a case for AMD? I mean, again, depends on the overall market, but what do you think of the technicals?
Good relative strength compared to that low. You made a much lower low in the overall market, but you held above that March 13th low. Don't even have to look at the date on that. Traded down a little bit, but you know what? I think buyers, I think they're defending this $100 level, and I don't think it's so much the retail, but it looks like you just getting some institutional interest here. It was resistance for a while, and you had the move out of there, but coming down to support it. It seems like they've upped their expectations from the $95 area. Actual low is 94.73, and now picking this up around 100. So it's come down a lot. I don't know. All the analysts have picked on it a lot, and with downgrades and stuff. But if it can hang in here a little bit longer, maybe make this formation to reverse the formation that you had in March, where this area was resistance. Make it support. I can make a case AMD. Wouldn't like to be seeing it trade below that 94.73. But if you want to talk about a good risk reward ratio on a turnaround, on a swing trade or a longer term trade, that's what I'm looking at for AMD.
Eddie in the STN room wants to know about Palantir. So we're going to do this one here, and then obviously we're getting close to 9 o'clock. Palantir.
Big boy filled the gap after the decline. Big boy step. They looks like they moved off the low, off that. They don't think they're going to get anything around 75 anymore, and it looks like 80. 80's been good support, even though you're trading down 237. So, like the support there in Palantir at the $80 level, just on a shorter term basis from today. resistance up there at the mark. I'm sure a lot of people would like to see that mark at 84.68.
Tesla trading down 5 points here right now. It is 9 o'clock. Those numbers can come anytime. They're coming right now. They're just it's down 9, 10, 11. We're getting the numbers here right now, actually. So we'll just stick on with you for a second here. Wow, down 12. What are the numbers? We're trying to get the Tesla deliveries.
No
just
press release yet
here now. So the initial numbers are not good. They're
No
hammering it ahead of it. Again, think the dip could get bought here. I'm not against buying this dip here right now. We're just going to stay on with you just because we're not going to switch over right now. Still waiting for the Tesla numbers. Waiting because obviously somebody's got them. You know, we just dropped 10 points on Tesla. It's down 13 now. Dip's trying to get bought.
I'm checking
Tesla deliveries.
I'm checking Tesla's
336,000.
Estimate was for
336,000. That is an epic miss. An epic
estimate
miss.
was for 372,000, missing by about 50,000 there.
336,000. Nobody on the street was that low. Again, this is an epic miss. I thought a little miss they might buy it back. I don't know on an epic miss. Maybe they're going to buy it back anyways. They're trying. They're going to use the excuses. The bulls are going to say, oh, it's model refresh. People are just waiting. There's going to be a lot of excuses out there. Maybe those are going to work, and maybe the stock is going to go green on it. We've seen Tesla rally on bad numbers before. But this here, folks, this is way lower than anybody expected. This is way lower than anybody had it on the street. So the actual number is, yes, Bill, 336,681 units. So, I mean, this number is just way off the charts lower than what people thought. So everybody has been telling you, yeah, that, oh, the Tesla lines are outside the door. Maybe they are now, but they weren't last quarter. So nervous. I'm going to sit back and just let the dust settle on here. They haven't even mentioned it on CNBC yet. But this miss, like they'll have Philip Bowe on here, this miss is huge. It's a huge miss.
It spiked down to 253. And right now, we're above that level here. So the dip, 253. There was, did I mention the 50%? No, that was at the 254 area. So, all right. Well,
they're trying to buy the dip. I've been saying, I think they're going to. It's such a bad miss. It's hard for me to come in here and buy the dip when it's that big of a miss. I was expecting a little miss, not a huge miss, but they're still trying to buy the dip. Telling you, like, the stock is really washed out. You know, again, valuation is still extreme, but stock has really been washed out. Let's see what happens when CNBC mentions. Let's see what happens when the masses get this information. We'll be in the STN room analyzing the trades. So join us over there. And, yep, join us over there.